and countries and companies might use this new asset class for different reasons. And so we think we've just begun from a price appreciation point of view. This is part of a journey.
국가와 대형 기업들이 비트코인을 새로운 자산 클래스로 어떻게 사용할지 초점을 맞춰야 하며 그에 따른 비트코인 가격 상승은 이제 막 시작되었고 새로운 여정의 시작이라 주장하고 있는 인물은 아크 인베스트먼트의 CEO 돈나머니 캐시우드입니다. 현재 세계에서 가장 인기 있는 ETF로 급부상하고 있으며 떠오르는 혁신 자산이 되고 있는 비트코인의 가치를 가장 먼저 캐치했고 크립토 시장을 주도한 월가의 영웅 캐시우드가 생각하는 향후 가상자산 시장의 방향성과 비트코인에 대한 그녀의 디테일한 인사이트에 대해서 함께 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Shares of Coinbase are on the move upwards after topping revenue estimates for the fourth quarter. Let's get reaction from someone who has a lot of skin in the game when it comes to Coinbase. Nearly 5 million shares in her flagship fund, to be exact. That fund is the ARK Innovation ETF, and Kathy Wood, ARK Invest CEO and CIO, is joining us right now. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you.
Hi, Julie. Great to see you. Thank you.
So let's first just dip into Coinbase a little bit here. It does look like the results beat estimates here. It looks like they turned a profit that was considerably larger than estimated. And there has been a lot of talk about the effect of the introduction of spot Bitcoin ETFs, the effect of the increase in Bitcoin prices. What do you think Coinbase is doing right now?
Well, one of the things that it's doing right is that it is, from a regulatory point of view, the most compliant exchange out there. And it's losing all its competition. Last year's demise of FTX was very important, and even Binance's issues have had a positive impact on Coinbase from a market share point of view. I think they're also in the right place at the right time, and they're executing brilliantly. The market is very volatile, so trading platforms benefit from volatility, and we certainly have had a lot of that recently. And then, of course, with the spot Bitcoin ETFs coming out, we've seen the price increase, or there's been volatility around it, but now it seems to be breaking out the price. And that's also good for Coinbase. So a lot of wins. And of course, their EBITDA was fantastic. They've turned into profitability.
Let's widen it out a little bit to talk a little bit more about what's been going on in the crypto world. And you were recently out with your big ideas report for 2024, some of the big investable themes that you watch. One of them is Bitcoin allocation. And of course, you're now also in the spot Bitcoin ETF business with the introduction of your new spot Bitcoin ETF with 21 shares. But I want to zero in on that before we get to that. How are you thinking about Bitcoin allocation, how it will affect the underlying price of Bitcoin, and how sort of normal people should be thinking about how much to allocate to something like Bitcoin?
Yes. So if you look over the history of Bitcoin, the optimal allocation on average over this time period has been roughly 5%, maybe a little bit below 5%. That's the average. When we first put Bitcoin, or got exposure to Bitcoin through GBTC in 2015, the optimal allocation would have been less than 0.5%, but it's been rising. And I think one of the things that we learned in the last year that I think is encouraging asset allocators to think seriously about Bitcoin is it is not only a risk-on asset, but during the regional bank crisis last year, it appreciated as regional banks were falling apart. And so it has become a flight to quality asset as well. So think about that, risk on and risk off. Volatile, to be sure, but risk on and risk off, that's quite something. And then the other thing to consider is institutions are, by and large, have not allocated to Bitcoin. And yet it is a new asset class, and they have to consider the ramifications of that from a diversification point of view. Diversification into a new asset class that is not highly correlated with other asset classes, stocks, bonds, commodities, and others, usually increases returns per unit of risk, which is what allocators want. And the other thing I'll note is The number of Bitcoin outstanding right now is a little over 19.5 million. The maximum number we will ever see is 21 million. So this scarce asset is getting scarcer, and institutions have not even gotten involved yet in any big way.
And it's been interesting, the move that we have seen in Bitcoin after the introduction and approval and introduction of those spot Bitcoin ETFs like your own. Some folks we've talked to, including you, by the way, have said, well, maybe we would see a little bit of weakness just in the wake of that, and then it was a recovery. But the recovery has actually happened perhaps more quickly than people anticipated. Does that change the calculus for where Bitcoin might get by the end of this year, for example?
Yeah, as you know, we do 5-year plus forecasts, and so we're focused on how institutions and countries and companies might use this new asset class for different reasons, and so we think we've just begun from a price appreciation point of view. This is part of a journey. I do believe that the SEC giving the green light has encouraged institutions to think carefully about it and have a point of view. So we're in the learning phase right now, and I think over time that this movement into this new asset class will continue to push up the price. Whether it happens this year, there are always short-term causes for volatility. So a 1-year period is pretty short, but over a 5-year period, our confidence is very high.
And let's talk about the confidence in that spot Bitcoin ETF, the ARC21 shares product that I have alluded to a couple of times. Has already reached a little over $1 billion in assets, about $1.3 billion in assets, I believe. The two largest products remain BlackRock and Fidelity's offerings. How are you looking at the competitive landscape now that we're a little bit into it? And what are you targeting for the size of that product? Again, I mean, maybe you're looking at a 5-year projection. I don't know. But what are your hopes for that?
Well, it has been very successful, and we are very pleased to be number 3 if you're excluding GBTC, which has a much higher fee than any of us. Then you've got BlackRock, Fidelity, and ARC21 shares. That is fine company, and we are very pleased to be number 3. I think one of the reasons we are is our history with Bitcoin. We've been doing research on Bitcoin and publishing and giving it away since 2014. Another reason we think we're being successful is we have an incredible sales team at Resolute who has had to get its head around Bitcoin since 2016, when very few people thought it should have a place in a portfolio. They have developed confidence, they can explain it, and they can hold hands through volatility. And I think the other thing is our ops, our infrastructure and ops with our partner 21 Shares is showing itself to be very efficient, and you can tell that in terms of spread. Sometimes we'll have the tightest spreads in the market. So I think we're firing all cylinders, and I'm just so proud of everyone who's been involved on this journey with us.